Interpol is launching a global public awareness campaign on business email compromise next month. That's a growing crime where the attackers get access to a corporate email account and spoofs the owner's identity to commit scams.
Now for more, we're joined in studio by Interpol's Director of the Cybercrime Program, Craig Jones. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So tell us then, business email compromise, why is that such a concern to Interpol?
So, as part of our global cybercrime program that we run for our 194 member countries, law enforcement globally, it's been raised to us that this is a growing problem globally. And in particular, in the last sort of 2 years, we've seen quite an increase in reports to police of business email compromise, loss of funds, compromise of corporate systems as well as part of that.
And that would be sort of, just to help us understand, email compromise is when someone else gets control of your email and then solicits money from your own contacts.
It can work a number of ways. One way is they can come into your network, they can compromise your system, they can divert your email so you don't see what's coming into your system. But then there's another approach where you can approach the CEOs and try and spoof the CEOs into making payments or false payments as well. So it works on a number of different levels.
Right, and that's why this is also called CEO fraud.
That's correct. So quite often you hear the term CEO fraud or whaling is another example. There's lots of different terms for it, but effectively what it's about is criminals being able to either access systems of companies and change them to make the companies make payments to the criminal groups, or going into companies as well and then fooling the employees to make payments as well by changing details and getting them to make payments to new details or banking details that's provided by the criminals.
So Interpol has had success in sort of tackling some of these kinds of scams before. Do the perpetrators tend to employ sort of similar tactics in CEO fraud?
No, I think what you'll see the tactics evolve because as it's like a business opportunity, effectively, they look for a weakness in the business or business market. They look for an opportunity to attack a business, and they might do it individually on one business in particular, or they might look at a number of businesses and attack a number of different businesses in different ways as well. So they run it as a business, the organised crime groups. They are there, effectively. They're after the money. That's what the majority of this is for.
And how big of an issue is this for us here in Singapore?
So I think in Singapore it's something that is being raised now in the sort of Southeast Asian region. Singapore's looking at about a 27% of reported incidents for CEO fraud or BC compromise. But again, I've got to say, Singapore's doing a great deal of work in this area. Certainly, we work very closely with the Singaporean Police Force and the Cybersecurity Agency. And also, Singapore is the voluntary lead shepherd in the region as well for cybercrime. So they're doing a lot of coordination work with us, and we're doing a number of projects with them in the region, specifically looking at cybercrime. But as things develop, then we can change the way that we're going to look at cybercrime and combat it in the region as well.
So you don't ever want to be a victim of cybercrime, but are there certain businesses or certain individuals, or companies that do things in a certain way that make them more vulnerable, perhaps?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the companies setting themselves up to make them more vulnerable. I think a lot of it comes down to, some people say, the people are the weakest link in an organisation, but they're also the strongest link. So if companies and organisations have good awareness campaigns, they regularly test themselves as well. And again, looking at the situation as a whole by companies is very, very important.
And tell us then about this global awareness campaign. What is it you're hoping to achieve?
So for this, there's a number of different themes we're looking to achieve. We're looking to raise awareness, first of all, for our member countries. So law enforcement globally are looking to raise this awareness in the law enforcement circles. And then hopefully what we're going to do is increase then information coming into Interpol so we can aggregate that information globally and start looking about where the trends are, what regions have been specifically identified or targeted, and then we can go back into our member countries and help and support them and coordinate operations with them. So again, then we can go after the cyber criminals who are committing these sort of attacks.
If you ever do, if a company is, gets attacked and they've lost or they've paid out money, is there any way of getting that money back?
So I'd say the first thing for them to do is they've got to report it. So that's internally, they should have good process and procedures inside, but more importantly, report it to your police first of all, because there are ways that we can go straight into the banks, we can try and freeze the money, but again, that's another process that we can get involved in. But if we don't know the attack's taken place, or they may not report it for 24, 48, 72 hours, then as the time goes on, then our chances of stopping or freezing the money and getting that back diminishes as well.
Craig, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about this global campaign. We've been speaking there to Interpol's Director of Cybercrime Programs, Craig Jones.